Hello, and welcome to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. Today, we're going to be speaking with Joanne George. Joanne George is a dog whisperer. For all intents and purposes, she really is. She's a behavioral specialist. She helps people to train their dogs. She's the former owner of Smiley the Blind Therapy Dog. She has thousands of followers around the world, and she really knows her dogs. Right now, for COVID-19, we're in a very unusual state with this pandemic. Shelters that were once packed to overflowing are now empty as people go to get themselves a dog. But along with this trend of everybody needs a dog, everyone needs a pal during a pandemic lockdown, come some pretty interesting issues. So today we're going to talk to you about puppies, the puppy versus the rescue dog or an older dog. These are the things that we'll talk about today on Fresh Waves. Nice to have you on board again, Joanne. We always love having you here on Fresh Waves. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in the puppy world these days with the pandemic, because it seems like everybody and their uncle is getting a puppy. And I know that half of the people that I personally know who are getting puppies have no idea what to do with a puppy.
Absolutely. Yes. First of all, thank you for having me on again. But you know, these puppies are coming into families, which is wonderful. I love it. There's so many benefits for families and kids, and you know, especially for the stress that we're all going through. You know, dogs and puppies are a great distraction. But you know what? It's not real life right now. You know, we're all home. The kids are all home. You know, a lot of us are off work and not just even doing work at home. So we've got this extra time. But you know, which makes it tough for the puppies because eventually things are going to go back to normal. Kids are going to go back to school. Everybody's going to go back to work. We're not able to get out with our puppies and socialize properly. We're not able, you know, like nobody's out. Nobody wants to stop and say hello, which is really sad. You know, these puppies so I'm a trainer, so I'm going and visiting these homes and dealing with the behavioral issues from COVID, I believe. You know, they're not socialized. They have separation anxiety. They're, I would say these puppies, you know, are put up on a very high pedestal right now. You know, everybody's home. Everybody's giving affection, you know, and attention. They're getting tons of treats. They're getting tons of toys. And, you know, that's, like I said, you know, it's just not real life. You know, they're never having to go in the crate. You know, if you've ever had to go through this, you know, we have to put our dogs in a crate. We have to go, and then our dogs get used to it. But, you know, they're really struggling through this, I think.
Well, I've found that so many people, I've heard of people, oh yeah, the dog just sleeps in my son's bed. And I'm thinking,
yeah,
my dogs have never slept in my kid's bed. And I'm not judging somebody. I'm not saying
Mm-hmm.
that that's good or that's bad. And a person who's living on their own and they're lonely during the pandemic, of course they want to have this little companion snuggled up at their feet at night.
Mm-hmm.
And for some dogs, it's not a problem. But for others, it really is.
Absolutely. You know, they become too dependent on their owners, which then, you know, I see, you know, after effects and the side effects are we get a dog that can't cope on their own, you know, and that's really sad. I feel really bad for these dogs because they don't have confidence. You know, it's like these little toddlers beside their moms, you know, hiding behind the legs of their moms, you know, and see, you know, as mothers, you know, we know how to deal with that, you know, but kids are different than dogs. You know, kids, we can put our arms around them and, you know, give them encouragement and talk nicely to them. Dogs are different. If we do that to dogs, we are instilling and nurturing that shyness and that fear, you know. So the dogs are, you know, puppies that should be outgoing and happy are shy, nervous, and anxious. And, you know, like all of the dogs I'm going to see right now, that's what they're dealing with. They're reactive on a leash out for a walk because they never actually get to go and greet anybody. They don't get to greet any other dogs. You know,
Yeah, so it may not be, even though people are home, this may not be the right time to get a puppy in a house.
Yeah. Yeah. I would always tell people that about getting a puppy in, let's say, the end of June. Everybody thinks getting a puppy, right at the beginning of the summer because all the kids are home and vacation. But boy, what a shock come September, for these puppies. They've been home with the kids all summer playing and having fun. And then September 4th comes around and they're suddenly alone. And there's always huge troubles with that. That's only a couple of months. Like, look how long this has been going on. So,
Okay,
you know,
so if a person's looking for a puppy, not to mention the cost. Oh my goodness, I have a neighbor at the cottage who just bought online, because you're not allowed to go see them. They saw them over Zoom. She bought a Cocker Labradoodle. And, 10 years
oh my
ago,
goodness.
you would have said that that's a mutt and you would
Mutt,
pay
$50.
$50 for it, maybe $100 at a pet store.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
now she has spent $5,000
Oh my gosh.
on
That's,
this dog, $5,000. And this breeder has 11 puppies in the litter, and every single one of them is spoken for at $5,000 a pop.
so, yeah, and people are hearing this now, you know what I mean, and seeing it. I had a friend that was looking for a mixed breed dog, so I was sort of, just curious, and I went on to Pet Finder and Kijiji just to see what was out there for some little, some mutts, and every mutt, I didn't see anything under 3,000. I had not heard of 5,000, but look what that's probably going to bring on. People are looking at that like at this as just a money maker, you know, to breed your dog to God knows who, and have a litter of puppies and look at the money you can make. That's very dangerous. Like now we've got people that
Yeah.
have no idea what they're doing. You know, having a litter of puppies is a lot of work, and it costs a lot if you do it the right way. And that's why these backyard breeders, what they don't know how to do it, and it's frightening.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it is. And I have a feeling, tell me if I'm wrong, but a 2-year-old dog is like a teenager or between 1 and 2. I always say you got to get through that stage before you have the dog that is your family's lifelong
Mhm.
pet.
Mhm. Mhm.
And this is going to be happening as the pandemic is weaning. This is
Mhm.
when this 1-year-old, 2-year-old
Yep.
dog lies on the couch and you go back in to see the dog and it's chewed a hole in the couch, or
Mhm.
it's eaten. I know a dog that ate through the drywall in a room because it was closed in the room and didn't want to be
Yep.
there. So
Yeah.
you get these behavioral things that are going to happen. All of these dogs, not all of them, but so many are going to end up back in the pounds and back in the
Yep.
shelters. And
Shuffled around from
I
home to home. Yep.
yeah, I really do think we're going to have a lot of dogs. I guess that brings us to my next question, which is the difference between getting a puppy and getting a rescue. Rescues are really trendy now, and unfortunately, because of COVID, you can't get a dog from Korea. Did you know that? I asked
Oh
my friend,
no.
why would you want a dog from Korea in the first place? Don't we have enough Canadian dogs that need homes? But
Mhm.
apparently
Mhm.
not. So these dogs are coming in as rescues from Mexico and the United States,
Mhm.
where the kill shelters in the United States are actually doing the happy dance because they've never had so few dogs. But this is a big challenge, isn't it, to get a rescue? It's not a simple thing. These dogs come with baggage.
They do. You've either got to be really seasoned in this, like dog, having dogs and training dogs and dealing with behavioral issues, or you better have somebody on standby that's going to help you through this right away, like right from day one. You know, dogs are looking for a leader, and right now we all are suppressing some real issues inside ourselves. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
we struggling in one way or the other, and they sense that, especially an adult dog. you know they instantly will come into your house and they are looking for a leader. They've been without for a very long time, and it's been about survival, and they come in your house and they're looking for who's going to provide and care for them. And if they don't see that, they will take the job themselves, and that's when you get some aggression, the guarding at the front window, the barking, the roar, that kind of thing. And it's you really got to know what you're doing. And it's those first couple of weeks are, imperative that you get control. And, you know, and in the States, you know what, I think they're struggling a lot more than we are maybe here. And so people are ending up having to, surrender their dogs due to losing their homes, losing their apartments, and so I'm sure, you know what, I bet you there's a lot of dogs you're going to find, a gold mine of a dog, in the shelter. You truly could. But then you could also, get, I hate to say this, but like a real nightmare, that's not going to just instantly bring you, relief from your stress. It's not going to be like that. It's not all fun.
I had a
Puppyhood
lady,
isn't
I had a lady
isn't fun.
crying on the phone with me the other day and telling me that, she got this dog because she thought it was going to be so great, and they said that they had vetted the dog and it wasn't going to be aggressive, and it wasn't for the first 3 weeks.
That's right.
And now it has turned into the dog from hell. And this is a big
Mm,
dog. This is a German Shepherd size dog. It's a German Shepherd cross.
well, yeah, and then like then where are you at? Like if you've brought a dog over from Mexico or anywhere from the States or anything like that, like who do you turn to? You know what I mean? If this is absolutely not the right fit, you're stuck with it. You know what I mean? And I hate to say it like that, but you know,
Well, is
it
there
gets.
help for a dog that's exhibiting these behavioral issues? I mean, you and I both know that puppies, for the most part, are trainable. They're little
Hmm. Hmm.
malleable creatures that we
Yeah,
it's hard for us
absolutely.
sometimes to not let Fufu sleep in the bed or not let
Yeah.
Fufu on the couch and sit on your lap constantly. But that's something that we can wrap our heads around because they're young and they're little. But what happens when
Hmm.
they're 5 already or 3 and then all of a sudden turn into hell dog? Can they be trained?
And my idea, it's not that all of a sudden they turn into a hell dog. It is that the people don't know what they're doing, and it is their actions and their kindness towards the dog is misinterpreted by the dog as weakness, and then the dog has to take over. And it usually does take about 3 weeks for the dog to go, okay, I understand, wow, everybody's been raising me up and being so kind and giving and giving and giving. I must be the top here. You know what I mean? I'm the top dog in this house.
Mm.
And then you get the behavioral issues. So it's people are really misinformed about true canine behavior. It's we live in a world of, watching social media, and we see little clips, you know, of people and their dogs and the rescue and the great story, but they don't see the background, and we don't see what goes into it. You know, I'm obviously a big presence on social media with my dogs, and people see my dogs and are just like, oh, they're so amazing. I got a dog, a month before COVID started last year, and I was in that position. But I know what I'm doing, and he's one of the best dogs I've ever seen. He's absolutely fantastic. You know, but like I said, I know what I'm doing. I didn't pour love, affection, kindness, treats, toys into this dog. I knew that we still had to leave him, even though I wasn't going anywhere. And I work with dogs all day long, so the dogs are always with me, but I still needed to put him in that crate and leave. I still needed to, leave him at home maybe when I would take the other dogs for a walk. I knew better. I knew to teach him these things even though it wasn't coming into play just yet. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm preparing him for everything, and I did that throughout the first year. And people don't seek out professional help usually until there's a problem. And then there's already a problem. So, you know what? I go and see people with some of the worst behaviors, you know what I mean? The dogs. And, if the people follow along, with what I am telling them, they can have that perfect great dog. You know what I mean? But
Okay, but this is
it
not a quick fix, is it?
no, no, not at all. you
How
know.
long do you think it takes normally to train a dog?
If they got a puppy,
Yeah.
well, a puppy, you're training up to, 8 months. You know what I mean?
Okay.
To get the dog that you want, because it takes 8 months because every month you're going through a different period with the dog. And new things come up. You've got one set of issues when you first come home, crate training, house training, things like that, puppy biting, teaching the recall. And then a month later, their confidence picks up, and now they're a little, they're more confident. And what comes with confidence is, maybe talking back. You know what I mean? If this was a child, it would be a kid that maybe spoke back to his mom and dad. And puppies kind of do that. They're like, no, I know I knew that when I was 10 weeks old, but now I'm going to try not to do it. So there's just so many factors with puppy. And it depends on, breed and, things like that.
Well, one of my big pet peeves is that people with little tiny dogs like Havanese and things like that, who are great dogs and they are super smart, they still need to be trained, even though they're the size
Hmm.
of a puppy. You still need to
Yeah.
get off me. No, stop
Yeah.
jumping up on my knee because that's as far as they can reach. But they're wrecking my pants. Get
Yeah.
your dog
And,
off me.
look at right now, the whole thing is that we're all sitting around wearing lounge pants. You know what I mean? We're not going to work. We're not putting on nice clothes. We're sitting around in pajamas all day. So, hey, no, we don't care that we have dog hair on us, and we don't care that the dog jumps up on us. But you know what? When our friends and family and grandmothers maybe start visiting again, guess what? This jumping puppy is now, you know, we can't have. I'm always teaching that to people, saying, okay, this is fine for us, but what happens when grandma comes over? Do you know what I mean? Who's not very stable, who maybe is pushing a walker, who maybe has very, fragile skin, you know, and that puppy jumps up on legs or jumps up onto the lap as soon as you sit on the couch, you know, even just, pawing. I always remind people, cute when you teach a big dog to shake a paw, except when we're dealing with, a 4-year-old child coming to say hello to your dog and your dog slaps a big old paw up in the face of a child. Now you got a child with a rough scrape maybe down their neck, from this
Hmm.
paw. And, you know,
Okay,
so
so
there's
if
so
you're
many things to think of. Like, it's not about today. It's about in 15 years. I'm always reminding, young families about that, newlywed couples, let's say. I'll say, I'm assuming that you plan to have children one day, right? And so we have to prepare this dog to have a baby in the house. We have to prepare this dog that life is going to change. They won't be in the bed with us. They won't be, allowed to, just play rough in the living room because one day there's going to be a baby on a play mat in the middle of the living room. So, there's always things to consider
hmm
down the road. It's not about today. It's about next month, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. This is a commitment, like a 15-year commitment. And, you know, we're going to be in, completely different places in our lives in the next 15 years. Like,
yeah.
I'm thinking ahead right now with my son who's 11, and we got a dog, and it was more, thinking of my son, I wanted a dog that was going to be well trained, that my son, when he's a teenager, you know what, this dog maybe goes with him. When I grew up as a teenager, I had that dog and I went everywhere with my dog. And, I'm sure my parents didn't, that wasn't the plan or anything like that, but I'm sure that must have made them feel better that I did. I took this dog everywhere with me. I want, our dog going for bike rides with my son. But I'm thinking farther ahead that, oh my goodness, this dog's going to be with my son, when he's in his 20s. Like,
hmm
it's so crazy, so
But then he also might have a couple of years where your son's at university and can't
that's
have the dog.
right. Yeah, that's
So
absolutely.
you have to train for
Yep.
both of those scenarios. But let's
Yep.
just give the listeners a little bit of an example. So you have a dog, a new puppy, or it doesn't matter what size, but it's jumping up on you when you walk in through the door. How do you get
Hmm.
that dog to stop jumping up on people?
Well, I'll tell you why the puppy jumps up on us is because, especially when they're small and like super adorable, every single person that comes in that door, whether it's, every member of your family, they walk in and they look down at that puppy and they see the glee in the puppy's face and they instantly go right down to the puppy and go, "Hi, oh yes, you're so cute. Oh my goodness, what a good puppy. Yes, yes, yes." And they're bent over and they're giving affection to this excitable energy. And so we are reinforcing that excitability, the jumping, the squealing, the submissive urination, that a lot of puppies will do when you come home. So, but and then when I show people, when I come to people's houses, I walk in the door, and of course, this puppy greets me, or this large dog greets me, and it's jumping up and down like, I'm down here, because they're so used to everybody paying attention to them. But I stand there and I speak to the owners, and I stare into the owner's eyes, and I instantly start engage conversation with them, and I explain to them why I am not paying attention to their puppy. And within about 3 minutes, the dog stops jumping up on me and squealing and dancing around and actually engages the nose and starts sniffing my shoes, like anywhere from my knees down, starts smelling everything about me, which is all they needed to do. And then, as soon as we engage the nose, we engage the brain, and then literally the dog gets snapped out of it, and they settle down because they've just found out everything they need to about me. They
Hmm.
have they've smelled everything they need to know. That's what tells dogs everything, is the smells that on me. And because I didn't reciprocate that excitable energy, the dog also realizes, oh, this is not about me. And so that puts them in the proper place. Do you know what I mean? You know, we can't always be elevating these dogs for them to think that it's all about them. When they think it's all about them, they think they're the top dog. Of course. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
You
alpha
know,
dog and
yeah, they're like, wow, I must be pretty special. I get all the affection, I get all the attention. And by me giving that silly, puppy, play to them, they also see me as just equal to them, that we're all just like litter mates. But by me standing tall and not playing with him at the beginning, that tells the dog, oh, this person is very high up. Oh, this person, has a very high status in the family because I didn't, pour affection into the puppy. And I think of it like, I use analogies like a CEO of a company. When they walk into the building, how do they come through? They're standing tall, they're serious, they're assertive, but calm. And that's what makes a great leader. And dogs are attracted to that personality, that leader. I remind people that when dogs see us as the leader, they feel so comfortable. Okay. And it is like us as women, we want to be with, look for a partner who we think could provide for us and care for us. Like, I'm a woman, but guess what? And all women's rights. But I want a partner that in the middle of the night, if we hear a noise down in the basement, that it's him that goes and investigates, not me. I like that position for myself. If I've left my sunroof open in the middle of the night and it's pouring rain, I know that my husband is going to do that. Do you know what I mean? And I like that place for me.
hmm
Do you know what I mean? And it's the same thing with dogs. They want to be cared for. They don't want to be the leader. They don't want to protect the house. They don't want to, go out and hunt for food, because that's what dogs are thinking. It's who's going to protect us? Who's going to hunt for us? Who's going to do this? And as soon as they find out that you're it, they can just relax and be a dog and not be on guard and not be worried and nervous about that. Being the leader comes with a lot of responsibility and stress. And that's why when I see dogs, hear of dogs with anxieties, it's usually because they are confused at where they are in the family. Do you know what I mean? What position they are in. And if we convey that they're the top dog, we're putting them out there. We're putting them out there that this is all up to you, buddy.
Hmm.
They just want to be, you know, they want to be looked after. They want to have a sugar daddy.
So
if
if
you
you
kind
if
of
if you come into a house and you're not the homeowner or the dog owner, and the person's dog jumps up on you, should you just
ignore.
ignore the dog?
Yeah, especially while like we don't want to be rewarding any behaviors that we do not like, which is jumping up on you. So you think of all the things that reward a dog: eye contact, voice, touch, food, all those things. And three of them we usually give when a dog is jumping up on us. We speak to them, we talk to them, we go, "Oh, he's so cute. Oh no, it's okay. It's okay if he jumps up on me. I'm wearing my jogging pants today. It's okay. I don't mind." That's what they say. We're patting them and we're talking to them, and you know, so like they're getting rewarded. And then, the next day they're getting in trouble for it, or the next day they're knocking over grandma, or they're knocking over a small child, or they jump up on you when you're wearing your nice clothes. That's that's not fair. So we really try to, remind people, look at what you're rewarding. Anytime you touch them, you're rewarding. Anytime you speak to them, you're rewarding. Anytime you're giving eye contact, you are rewarding whatever behavior they're giving to you at that moment.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's an interesting way of looking at it, because in
Yeah.
essence you're actually training the humans around the dog,
Exactly.
not the
It,
dog.
it exactly. It really is. If I came into a house and I was like, if I came in with that matched energy, like, puppy, puppy play and pat, pat, pat and kisses and giving some treats and just like, your friends maybe coming over or the kids, I'm never going to accomplish anything with the dog while I'm there because they just see me as equal.
Right.
Because, hey, we're all playing together, and we're matching each other's energy. I'm not expecting, any manners, but when I go in there, I'm expecting manners. I'm, you think of somebody like, say, Angelina Jolie walking into a big gala. She struts through and it demands respect. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't have reporters clawing at her knee going, "Pick me."
Yeah, she's not. Yeah, she's different. She command. That's what I think. What they talk about, even like a diva, maybe. Like just like they demand respect, and respect is in the dog world, respect is given by space.
Okay. So
They don't jump.
what about those old techniques I've heard of people where, just put your knee up and then the dog
Knee up.
jumps into your knee and they'll stop.
Yeah, and that's due to pain, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And something being uncomfortable. So I think of this, okay, if I was coming in with a couple bags of groceries, you know, picture back in the day when we had like brown paper bags and we're holding a couple brown paper bags in our arms full of groceries, a lot of canned goods, let's say. What if I came in and the dog jumped up on me and knocked the groceries out of my hands and all the cans and bag kind of dropped down and maybe, bonked the dog on the head and all fell all over and it was kind of stressed. That dog's going to learn very instantly that, ooh, I didn't like what happened there.
Hmm.
Oh, look what happened. I jumped up and then all these cans, fell all over me. That dog learns not to jump. But if I come in and the dog jumps and I go pat, 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 the dog goes, oh, this was good. Jumping is good. And it's no different than teaching sit. We reward for different positions that we like. But, we are unintentionally praising and rewarding for bad behaviors, for whining. Look, a puppy will be somewhere and whines or barks, demand barking. A dog will come up and bark at their owner while they're sitting watching TV. That says, hey, don't forget about me. you're ignoring me. So they go bark, bark, bark. And what does the owner do? Most owners, they turn to their puppy and go, oh, what's the matter? What's the matter, buddy? Do you need to go outside? They jump up and see if they need to go outside. Do you need some water? Are you hungry? Oh, let's get him some food. Do you need to go for a walk? Let's take you for a walk. And now all of a sudden the dog goes, wow, that was amazing. I bark. I got eye contact and, spoken to by my wonderful owner. I went for a walk. She asked if I wanted food. She did this. She did that. She did this, and, look at what we've started now,
Yeah.
so, it's very quick. It takes one incident, like that for the dog to go, oh, I got you now,
Yeah.
and it's in them now, just like, I'm working with a family with a young dog, and they have very young children, and they've never given this dog people food. But guess what? These kids sitting at their high chairs, of course, they're dropping food left, right, and center. So now the
Ah,
dogs are,
yes.
drooling and sitting there underneath the high chairs and following those kids around because they're walking around with cookies in their hands, very, you know, and not paying attention. So, there's, there's a lot to be considered,
So
in the house.
in that sense, what would you think? Would you put the dog in a different room while the kids eat or while the family eats?
Yeah, absolutely. If,
Ah,
you know, that's a time to maybe put them in a crate, you know, just so, or, and there's different, I think of, some of these Kong toys or a chew stick or, it's almost like a pacifier for a child. We use them very intermittently when we need them to settle a dog by himself over there. It's like a self-soothing thing, like, licking out, peanut butter from a Kong, just like we hold out and save this soother or pacifier for our babies. But if we just gave the child a pacifier all day long, they would never take it when they were upset. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, it makes
Some things
perfect
like that.
sense because you're not
Yeah, some of those
punishing the
things.
dog
Mhm.
necessarily. You're
But
just
you're also teaching self-soothing behaviors, and that
okay.
they can do things on their own over there in their crate while we are, while this is going on over here. So, there's just, I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
it's
I
interesting.
can,
I had two dogs, as you know, and I lost them both last year. But
hmm,
I never fed them at the table ever, and my
hmm,
kids knew
hmm,
that was our
yep,
golden rule in the family: do not feed the dogs at the table. If you want to give
yep,
them a little piece of that steak after dinner, after we're finished, maybe, but not at
hmm,
the table. Well, my
right.
husband started feeling sorry for the older dogs, and at 13 and a half, he started creating a
A
monster.
monster, yep,
All of a sudden, I've got dogs under my feet looking at me intently, tongues hanging out like, when do I get my scrap? When do I get it? And I'm
yeah.
thinking, what have you done?
That's the perfect thing because I always tell people that people ask, oh, are they too old to be trained? I said, oh no, because if you can train bad habits into a dog, at age, 10, 11, 12, 13, then you can teach good habits too. So as you found out, dogs are very trainable at
Oh, yeah.
13, right?
Very self serving.
Exactly,
You're listening to Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. During this episode, we are speaking with Joanne George about dog behavior, training your dog, whether to get a puppy or a rescue, and different issues involved in both scenarios. Remember, if you'd like to hear this show again, you can go to freshwaves.ca or you can check out our YouTube channel at Freshwaves Radio, capital F, capital R for radio. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah.
So when you bring in a new dog, especially if it's a rescue and you don't know its past, what are you to do with this thing? Because if you said
Good.
it's not, we shouldn't be lather, like just bringing on all the toys and tons of food and tons of love, which is what we feel like we want to do when something is quote unquote rescued.
Yeah,
How
we think of them as, like adopting a child from, another country, right? We want to just fill them with love, but that's in the dog world. That's not what we should be doing. Um, we need to provide structure right away. There's other things that dogs need first. You know, it's it's walking, it's exercise, it's and teaching them, getting them mentally, giving them confidence by teaching them, new behaviors.
and yeah, but it wouldn't it kind of go against everything that you want to do for this dog? Like I can see
I
how people
know.
fall for it. They just
Yeah.
want to love them so much.
Yeah.
But the best
But
love, I guess, is not the coddling
yeah,
kind of
it's,
love.
the thing is, we have to respect every animal, every creature for what they are, and, people will say that going, well, I got this dog for this reason because I am lonely, and even just me saying that, does it not just sound, selfish? It's for people get dogs for selfish reasons. They're getting it for themselves. And I get that. But, we have to respect the needs of a dog and the canine of, in that dog. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
You know, they, we have, we dress them up and we carry them, we put them in bags and, as you can imagine how I feel about that, what, it's hard to see, because I know that's not what a dog is about, you know, and I'm really about giving dogs what they need, depending on breed, age, sex, size, everything, you
Yeah.
know, just like if I got any animal, if I get a horse, horses have different needs than a dog. Dogs have different needs than children. Dogs have different needs than cats, but dogs are so amazing. They do, they try very hard to, blend in to our lives. But I still, you know, just something, I posted the other day on my Instagram explaining that I do not wake up in the morning and go and run and feed my dog. People love feeding their dogs. They get a lot of satisfaction and out of giving them that yummy big bowl of food. But that poor dog just woke up and had their food given to them on a platter, and that's it for the day, and who does that? And then they might take them for a run. You know, that's not right. Dogs don't wake up from their den. Wolves don't wake up from their den and say and find food right out their door. Dogs need, so like when a dog spends his whole day looking for food. You know what I mean? Like, let's say in a dog's world, they have to hunt for their food. They have to work for it. But then they get their food on a silver platter every morning, and then they expect the dog to just spend the rest of the day what? Chilling on the floor, watching TV on the couch, and it's not the way it is, So
So if
it's
you're, I've seen you do this before because I saw one of your Instagram posts where all of your dogs, all three of them, were sitting calmly, and then you put the dog bowls on the floor, and the
mm-hmm.
dogs still sat calmly. They didn't move until you told
Mm-hmm.
them it was okay to move. I've always had dogs where they're at my ankles while I'm making the food, and as soon as I put it on the floor, they are at the bowl.
Yeah,
So why are
you
you
know,
asking them to wait?
because I think one of the most important things that we can teach our dog, and I think one of the most common things that dogs are lacking and which causes behavioral issues, is they have no self-control. They react without thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so once we teach self-control with food, they can do. It seems like they can do anything. I open up the back of my, SUV, and I don't have to say a word. The dogs don't jump out of the back of my truck.
I
You know,
noticed that. That was
yeah,
amazing.
I know. And you know what? It's so important, and for safety, you know, if I have to open the back of that truck up, let's say when I'm at the gas station, what if I have to open the back door and my dog's on the back seat to get my purse or something like that? And I could be stuck on the side of the road. If that door opens, that is not an invitation to jump out, you know? And same thing with the food. I teach my dogs and I go through exercises like this. I'll knock food off the counter, you know, and expect that they don't go diving for it. Because what if that was, half of a raw chicken wing that they snatch up? Now we got a $5,000 vet bill and, possibly a very sick dog and if not death. So and reacting, like think of a dog's instincts are, of course, dive for food. A dog's instincts are also to chase that squirrel. But what if we have to teach them to not go against their instincts, because that squirrel, you cannot chase that squirrel just because you see it, because that could be out onto the road. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What if a kid's ball goes out onto the road? Is that dog so triggered by a ball that he's just going to run? Do you ever want to take this dog off leash? Do you ever want to go to a forest and have your dog off leash? Do you want to trust your dog? So I teach self-control with the food bowl to start, and then it just ties in. And now they have self-control at the front door with the front door opens. Now they have self-control when I open the back of my truck. Now I have self-control when a squirrel goes running by, or if a dog barks in my dog's face, he just doesn't react because he's been taught that, you know, keeping, just like I go into people's houses and I see their bathroom garbage can is up on the counter. Their good shoes are up on top of a table because they don't trust their dog. But by keeping things away from them just makes the need greater, or the want greater, because they want what they can't have. So I bring that bathroom garbage down. I go, this bathroom garbage, we're not going to see this bathroom garbage. We're not going to go for it. See these shoes? We're not going to go for it. Just like, see this bowl of food that I'm putting down? You must wait until given permission. And if I'm walking out here on the sidewalk on a Sunday morning down the main street and there's some gross half-eaten pizza slices out on the sidewalk, guess what? I don't want my dog to pick that up. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there will be never permission granted to go and pick up that piece of pizza. You know what I mean? It's self-control without even a command. I don't have to say wait anymore. I don't have to say leave it. I don't have to say don't run out that door. The door can be wide open.
So the dogs, do they look for you for the permission
Yes.
to go
Yes.
after that pizza slice?
Mm-hmm. If the front door is left open, my dogs look up to me and go, "Is that for us? Are we going? Okay, never mind. I'll go lie down." They think of all that, And same thing with the food. As soon as the food goes down, they just look at me and wait for me to tell them what's happening next. And I say, okay,
but if they were a little puppy, or even not a puppy, but a dog, a 6-month-old, and you've put the food down and you don't want them to go for it, how do you keep them from going for it? Because I've had experience where they want to do anything in their power to get around your legs to get at that bowl.
So my definition of so there's a reward, and then there's the opposite of a reward, and the opposite of a reward is no reward. So when I go to put that bowl down and they get up to go towards it, I just lift it back up and it goes away. And then I go to put it down again. If they go for it, I just pick it up. And then they go, well, this is a really bad game. I don't like this game. and then they don't go for it for that split second.
Okay. And is that part of that command of stay?
No. This is wait.
Okay.
But then that split second that they do not go for it, I say, okay, and I let them take it. And now they
Okay.
go, what? Why did I get it that time? And then they realize, what did I do that time? Oh, I didn't go for it. And I teach people to like let your dogs think. Let your dogs figure it out. They are so smart. I can teach this to a 10-week-old puppy, in 10 minutes. They are so smart, and people don't give them that credit,
Mm-hmm.
of being that smart. They just think of them as little helpless, babies, and they're not. They're, you start working their brains right away. And even if it's just the start of it, but like I said, that's the beginning, and it's amazing watching. That's why I love working with families with, really bad behavioral issues, but I also then love just going back to puppies and, starting fresh with them and teaching people, the preventions and, so we're not dealing with problems later. It's such a
Yeah.
beautiful way for these dogs to grow up.
Mm-hmm.
That way it's just all positive. It's all fun. It's just, and like I said, the opposite of a reward is no reward. It's
Yeah.
not It's not punishment.
No, no, that's
It's not.
true.
It's not discipline. But these are boundaries. You know, Everybody knows that we could never raise a child without rules and boundaries, right? We're not going to raise a very good person of society if we don't teach them about rules. I don't care what your rules are, you know what I mean? But there has to be some rules. You
Right.
know, we don't do this, we don't do that, we must go to bed at this time, we do this after dinner, whatever it is. And it's the same thing with dogs. They have to learn right away that there are rules and that they have to follow them, and then things go very smoothly once they learn that. And then it's also putting you, you know, as the leader again. It just makes it very, very clear.
And then it makes it easy for them to deal with, doesn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. And then, yeah, it just, that's when you end up with a very happy, you know, happy
Well-adjusted dog.
dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they get it. And then they also want to work
With
for
you.
you.
Yeah. Now, we're running out of time, as we always do when I talk to you. How do people get a hold of you? I know you're super busy right now, but if they have a real problem that they're just not dealing with, how do they get a hold of you?
My they can check out my website, which is Training the Canine Way, like a K and a nine. Oh, not yeah, trainingthecanineWay.org. I'm also on Instagram, which if you do you follow us on Instagram? Do you
You know
not?
what? I love you guys on Instagram because I learn
Okay.
a lot by
Yeah,
the way I
exactly.
watch you deal with your dogs, things that I
Exactly.
have never thought of before. And I went to dog
Hmm.
training with my dog 15 years ago, and
Things have
you,
really changed,
yeah, you
haven't
use
they?
different techniques. There isn't the
Yeah.
punishment
That's
that
exactly.
I
As
learned,
you
you know,
exactly like the knee up for the jumping or the leash corrections. I
with the
know, like
choke collar.
yeah, exactly. That's all we had, right?
Yep.
So it's such a it's so fair. And like I said, that's what I've called my business, training the canine way, because it is. This is how they learn, and I've over the years, you know, kind of figured out the best way for dogs to learn. And I'll tell you, Smiley taught me a lot. You know, I'll tell you one. Can I tell you one quick little story of
Yes,
Smiley and
please.
what he? Because you know what, I used to go places with him, and when a dog would be approaching him, he would, be obviously cautious. He'd know a dog was coming, and I could see that he was, reaching out, using his nose, smelling who they were, seeing if it was a nice dog or not. But then sometimes a dog would come towards him, and he'd be instantly wagging his tail and trying to go and see them right from the first time, and like right from the first second. And I think, but they always seem to be golden retrievers, you know. And
Hmm.
so I would think, what? does Smiley know like other golden retrievers? Like, why does this keep happening? Why does Smiley sense a golden retriever coming to him? Like, why is he so happy when a golden retriever comes to him? Well, we all know the golden retrievers are they're amazing. They're wonderful, happy dogs. They really typically just don't have a mean bone in their body, and they just exude that wonderful energy. And so I realized that Smiley was sensing that that wiggle, 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 the panty, 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 where other dogs would come up quieter and more still. Or if a dog was apprehensive or maybe even aggressive, they would stand very still. They would be almost holding their breath. And Smiley could detect that in each dog. He could sense that energy. And, then I just realized actually that's how dogs live, every day. Like my own dog, Buck, the German Shepherd, if I don't say a word, if I approached him myself, if I approached him and just stood still and just kind of acted like a tree and stared at him, he would bark at me. They don't see what we think they can see. It's energy, it's scent, it's voice, it's sound. They're using their other senses to figure everything out, and so like, you just have to think more of the senses that they're using, and help them learn to use the senses. Dogs that don't engage their nose, those are the dogs that are barking like crazy at other dogs. Those are the dogs that are reacting at a window because they're only reacting by what they see, So,
yeah, I guess you're right. It's looking at it from a dog's perspective.
And as you see, like we could do these talks on a weekly basis, and I still would never run out of things to talk about. It really is complex, and I've been doing this for 25 years. So.
Well, I would recommend to anyone who has a new dog or a dog that's new to them, doesn't have to be a puppy, to look at your Instagram page and see what you do with your dogs. Because I think that's really fascinating how you deal with the dogs. And they respond to you so nicely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's what I was saying. It was, the Instagram is For the Love of Smiley. I can't get past, because this is all because of Smiley, and that's, why,
Right.
So,
yeah. And he was quite a special guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us today, Joanne. I really appreciate having you on the show, and I appreciate all of your information. And to anyone out there listening, if you have a problem with your dog, before you get rid of the dog, give Joanne a call. Give Joanne a call and do some training and stuff, because it may well be worth your while. Your dog, the dog that you want, may well be within the 4 legs of the dog you already have.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Thanks for tuning in today. This has been Fresh Waves. I'm your host, Bren Masson. You can listen to Fresh Waves anytime you like by going to our YouTube channel, Fresh Waves Radio, with a capital F for Fresh Waves and a capital R for radio. Fresh Waves Radio. And we're also at Freshwaves.ca. And you can email me at bren@freshwaves.ca. You can also listen to us on Whistle FM at 7 a.m. on Saturday mornings. I know that's an awfully early hour, but if you are up, what a great way to start your day. Start your day with Fresh Waves, 7 a.m. on Saturday on Whistle FM. Have a terrific day, and we hope you join us again here at Fresh Waves.